Hello everybody, welcome to our channel MediConcept. Today we will discuss about an clinical condition related to function of ADH or vasopressin, which is syndrome of inappropriate ADH secretion. Then what is the appropriate response of ADH? Now ADH, it is secreted when body needs water, right? So whenever there is demand of water inside our body, the ADH, it is secreted to reabsorb the extra water from the distal convoluted tubule and the collecting duct of the renal tubule, right? So that extra amount of water can be reabsorbed from the renal tubule, right? And that volume can be replenished. Two important stimulants for the ADH secretion is the hypovolemia or increase in the plasma osmolality. Now, as we have known the appropriate response, we can easily understand the inappropriate response of ADH. So, when the body doesn't need water, that means already there is sufficient amount of water present in our body. Still, the ADH is being secreted. So what will be the response? What will happen then? There will be excessive abnormal water reabsorption, increasing the volume of water in our body. The overview of ADH function, we have seen that increase in the ADH, it leads to increase in the aquaporin channel available at the DCT and collecting duct. It leads to increased water reabsorption, right? Increased water, it leads to formation of diluted blood as more water is available in the blood, and this diluted blood leads to decrease in the plasma osmolality. This decrease in plasma osmolality, it tends to suppress the secretion of ADH or the vasopressin from the posterior pituitary, so that now less ADH it will be secreted. Less ADH leads to less aquaporin channel available at DCT and CD. So less water it will be reabsorbed and more water it will be passing through the urine. As more water passing through the urine, it leads to formation of diluted urine, and ultimately the plasma osmolality it will be restored. Now what will be this effect of this increased ADH? Increased excessive ADH, it leads to excessive amount of aquaporin channels available at DCT and collecting duct. That means increased amount of water it will be reabsorbed. That increased water reabsorption leads to increase in the fluid volume in our body, as well as it will decrease the plasma osmolality. So that decrease in plasma osmolality leads to decrease in plasma sodium ion concentration, because there is dilution of the blood. The total amount of sodium it is remaining fixed, right? And that amount of sodium it has been diluted in the larger fluid volume. That is why there will be dilutional hyponatremia. Now increase in the fluid volume, it will stretch the atrial myocyte, that cause increase in the release of atrial natriuretic peptide and the brain natriuretic peptide. That increased fluid volume also causes increase in the GFR and leads to decrease in the renin secretion. That decreased renin ultimately leads to decreased formation of angiotensin II and the aldosterone. This ANP and BNP also it causes decrease in the renin secretion. The effect of all these factors at the kidney level will be natriuresis. That means excretion of sodium in urine. So that causes further decrease in the serum sodium ion concentration. That means the hyponatremia. So hyponatremia, it is a prominent feature of this SIADH. That natriuresis also causes increase in the urine sodium ion concentration, so that the urine osmolality it will be increased. This decrease in aldosterone and increase in natriuretic peptide tends to do diuresis also, which will cause increased loss of water in urine. As well as in a long-term poorly understood mechanism, there will be decreased in the availability of aquaporin channels in distal convoluted tubule and the collecting duct of the renal tubule. So summated all this effect, there will be diuresis, that means increased loss of water in the urine. So there will be loss of excess water from the body to decrease the blood volume. So in long term, there will be a state of euvolemia is reached. Now if you look at the lab finding of SIADH, in blood there will be hyponatremia, that means decrease in sodium ion concentration. That decreased in sodium ion concentration or hyponatremia leads to decrease in the plasma osmolality. The opposite findings will be there in the urine, that means increased sodium ion excretion, that means urine sodium concentration it will be increased, as well as that increased sodium in urine tends to increase the urine osmolality. Another feature of the urine, there will be scanty urine production because of the excess ADH. It tries to reabsorb excess amount of water, leads to decrease in the urine formation. A stable SIADH patient will be euvolemic. Euvolemia means not excess nor less fluid, that means sufficient amount of volume of fluid present in the body. So what is the specific test for SIADH? It is the water loading test. Now if you can remember that in diabetes insipidus, the specific test for diabetes insipidus is the water deprivation test. So what we do in the water loading test, or what will be the finding of this water loading test, that whatever amount of water is given to the patient, that means whatever amount of water given to the patient, still there will be scanty urine production, as excess ADH will reabsorb the water. So excess ADH reabsorb the water, that leads to production of scanty urine. Now what are the causes of this SIADH? Now this thing is related to secretion of ADH, so all the causes is related to the ADH or the vasopressin secretion. The most common cause that leads to formation of SIADH is the infection at the brain level, right? Infection at the brain, like meningitis, encephalitis, or brain abscess. So these are the three common causes that leads to formation of SIADH. Now important thing to remember, in HIV patients, cerebral toxoplasmosis may also lead to the formation of SIADH. Other brain causes or nervous system causes that leads to SIADH are stroke, hemorrhage, trauma, or surgery. Now all of these things should occur at the hypothalamus or pituitary level, that leads to increased excessive production and secretion of ADH. Next important cause for SIADH is the ectopic production of vasopressin or ADH. The most common thing that causes increased ectopic production of ADH is the carcinoid tumor. Lung carcinoma also can cause increased ectopic production of ADH. the variant of lung carcinoma, oat cell carcinoma of lung, it is the most common lung carcinoma that causes increased production of ADH. Lung infection like the pneumonia, it can also cause increased production of ADH. Different drugs can also increases the ADH production. Like you can remember it by mnemonics CARDISH. C for the chemotherapy, the most notorious being the vincristine. A for the antidepressant, both the TCA and the SSRI. R for the recreational drugs. D for the diuretics. I for the inhibitors, that is ACE and the SSRI. S for the sulfonylureas, and H for the hormone, that is the desmopressin, synthetic analog of ADH. Now what are the different symptoms of this SIADH? Now all of the symptoms related to SIADH is due to decrease in the plasma sodium ion concentration. So if there is decrease in the plasma sodium ion concentration, in mild cases it may cause headache, nausea, or vomiting, right? And in the neuromuscular system it can produce muscle cramps and the tremor. Now further decrease in the plasma sodium ion concentration, it tends to form the cerebral edema because of decrease in the plasma osmolality leads to accumulation of water at the extracellular space, and that will lead to formation of the cerebral edema. Cerebral edema, it will be manifested as confusion, mood swing, or hallucination. Now in severe decrease in sodium ion concentration, it may ultimately cause seizure, coma, or even death of the patient. Now how to treat this SIADH patient? Now the most important and the first line of treatment, it should be to treat the main cause or the underlying cause, like in the infection, the meningitis, encephalitis, or pneumonia. You have to treat that infection first, right? Second important thing you have to do is to restrict the fluid intake. So whenever you restrict the fluid intake, that tends to lower the blood volume, right? And that lowered blood volume, it will trigger the release of aldosterone. Now this aldosterone, it will cause increase in the sodium ion reabsorption from the kidney and try to restore the sodium level in a blood, right? Now next important thing in the symptomatic cases, right? In the symptomatic cases, you can give hypertonic saline, but you have to give it slowly. So whenever you infuse the hypertonic saline, it will increase the sodium ion concentration, sodium ion level in our body, and that increased sodium level in our body, it try to keep the water along with it, so it tends to increase the plasma volume. Now if there is mild fluid overload in the body, you can give the diuretics like the furosemide. In chronic cases, you can give demoxycycline. Now this demoxycycline, it is a ADH antagonist. It antagonizes the action of ADH. How? It binds with the ADH receptor and prevents the binding of vasopressin to its actual receptor, right? And the last mode of treatment to give the tolvaptan. Now this tolvaptan is a V2 receptor blocker and it is a FDA approved drug.